Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're listening to this. We are recapping this week's RHONY episode that I'm just going to say it, call a spade a spade. This one fell flat. You and I were both saying, I miss old RHONY.
We were discussing this before we started recording, and yes, this felt more evident to me than other episodes. I think, I'm over the pigeon. I'm over Ubah versus Bryn. Whatever is happening there, I don't understand. But let's discuss some other moments before we talk about the moments we can't stand. But Abe and Aaron, your take on that conversation.
I didn't read Abe as telling Jenna that Aaron and Jenna have some conflict or unresolved whatever, like issues. I didn't read that as a sign of like Abe really supporting Aaron. Maybe she thought because like he's trying to help mend that. I kind of was like, and she even said, I wish she maybe wouldn't have said it and let me have the chance, but I'm glad that Jenna and I had the conversation. I don't know, but I was like, all right, well, whatever works for you guys. But I feel like this is kind of maybe the Dorit PK, like, let's show a little bit of like us struggling because there's all these rumors, but like, let's make it seem like we're really great and stronger and better than ever. So like something really little is going to somehow be like, oh my God, he's so supportive. He's so amazing. Like he literally like slipped and told your friend you're pissed at her. Like, that's not like, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it, but I'm not like, oh my God, thank you for supporting me.
He's such a supportive husband. Yeah. Like, what? Girl. Are you well, girl? No. Also, loving Jessel. I think with Jessel, she's so unapologetically herself. I did find her conversation with her mom interesting about therapy. Oftentimes, I feel like the people who are so anti-therapy are the ones who need to go. But the whole discussion, that Pavit in her had, like that just gave me so much ick on Pavit's stance. It's not like a Groupon like there's no like Groupon discount code for you like in therapy. Like a good therapist is worth paying for.
Yeah. I mean, you can, when she said 300 to 500, maybe that's New York pricing. I'm used to the Midwest. I was like, well, you can find a good one who takes like some of your insurance, but like, New York could be different. That whole date though bothered me. He seemed so like dismissive of her, like really didn't care. If all you wanted to do was just take pictures of food and really just enjoy that, then don't call it a date. Say, I've been dying to try this restaurant. I'm kind of being this food influencer. I want to like sample a bunch of stuff. Would you want to come with me and try it? You have her mom babysitting. Like she really thought that this was going to be a true date night, a chance for them to really talk. And like, as she's basically saying, I think we need to see a therapist. Like, our communication isn't working. He's like, oh my God, sorry, this chicken is so good.
Yes. I was like, Pavit, I'm going back to calling you Dory because this is Dory behavior. Jessel cannot be more clear on what she wants. Like sometimes we see these housewives where they can't be direct in their conversation, but
what would you think about another baby? Like, but she's like, no, I want one.
I want another baby. I want to go to therapy. I want you to buy me gifts. Like she's being very clear on her needs. And the fact that he's like dismissing them or trying to find a Groupon discount, whatever, to go to couples therapy. Actually, the pricing's on par. I've recently done couples therapy because I think there's no harm in like strengthening your communication. The pricing for the person I saw was $270, so slightly under, but it's still within that ballpark.
We've like randomly gone to some, but I think maybe through insurance because we have like a special thing. Yeah, it was like 150. But still, I also like, I get like Pavit, if you're like, I do not want a third, like he is allowed to have that opinion and feel that way. You need to be open though to having some sort of conversation where, and I think a therapist would be good in this environment because Jessel so clearly wants a third, and it's clearly important to her. She's been talking about it a lot. She's talking about it with her mom. She went to go see an IVF coach, which I'm like, girl, what type of rich person are you that you have an IVF coach?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, what is an IVF coach? I'm like, is this like a like
I mean,
a life
it's a very like emotional, it is a, like we've had friends go through it. We've been fortunate enough that you and I have not had to, but like, I get that it is like mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, like it is a commitment and it like takes over your entire life. So I could see like maybe having someone guiding you through that would be great, but I couldn't help but laugh. I'm like, oh my God, like my poor friends out there, they're just struggling for themselves. Like not all of us are having IVF coaches.
No, and also the fact that she has one, but isn't what he's not willing to pay for couples therapy. I'm
Right.
like, you guys are like,
Well,
I
so
don't know
your
what
embryos,
self-producing. Like you are far enough aligned where you're like gonna proceed with getting a third. It's like you're doing like asking for forgiveness later, Jessel. Like I feel like you, I
yeah.
don't know.
Well, your embryos are also, how much are you, she said, like they're paying like a ridiculous amount for these embryos. So I would almost like phrase it to Pavit, like, look, I'm not going to want to do anything with these embryos unless you and I meet with a therapist. So you could pay, it's probably going to end up being $2,000 because we're going to probably go to at least 4 sessions, or you can keep paying that. What she said, it was like 60, 200, what was it like? I feel like she was saying it was like 12,000 a month or something. It was like $250,000. It was some ridiculous
It was
amount that they're paying
insane.
for keeping these embryos in Beverly Hills and keeping them frozen. So, I mean, I would phrase it to Pavit that way. Like, look, long term, do you want to drop $1 million or do you want to pay 2,000 right now? And we can come to terms with an answer and then figure out what we're going to do with these
Yeah.
embryos. But yeah,
I think she's ultimately, I don't want to say win because it should be like a joint decision, like, but I do feel like there will eventually go that way. It wouldn't shock me. I can see her going through a surrogacy route and then like by the reunion of this, her announcing this is optimism.
yes,
Her announcing being like, yes, I'm gonna get that girl, like da da
that's
da.
the only thing that kind of bugs me. And maybe it's like, I get how she's saying, like, hey, if you do this naturally, you're never like, and you really want a certain gender, you can't guarantee it. And maybe it's because I'm still triggered by Megan King Edmonds, who had only girl embryos and went through the entire IVF process
Mm.
again just to get a boy. I don't know. Like, there is a part of me that's like, I get to, and maybe it's like she knows all she has is girl embryos. And so it's definitely a girl. Like, I don't know their situation, but I
I
am a
get what
little
you're
bit
saying.
like, it kind of gives me a little bit of the ick of like, I just really want the girl. Like, so if you only had boy embryos, would you be done? Would you be good with
Yeah.
two? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit, I'm getting a slight ick, but I also, I think ultimately too, she just wants a third, but I think knowing she has the option of picking the gender, and that is like maybe the one perk I would say of IVF, because it is such a, like, I don't say horrible process.
No,
It
but
can lead to a miracle, but
emotional,
it's, yeah,
draining, physically, like all
challenging.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I really had a hard time with Pavit in this episode, especially because I feel like we've all really started to like him and found him to be kind of humorous and endearing. The fact he went as Dory for Halloween, we're like, oh yes, lean into the joke. And then this episode, the week after that, it's like, ugh.
It's not cute. It's not cute, Pavit.
Yeah.
It's not
But
cute.
there were
Let's
some other
go.
things that went on. Again, this episode didn't give us a ton, but I was really happy to see one of your notes. For those who don't know, yes, we are a little bit rustic on here and sometimes we just shoot from the hip, but we do have a shared note where we kind of talk about like certain moments we want to make sure that we hit on in this podcast. And for those of you who don't know, I went when I like, obviously we've been Bravo fans since way back before even Housewives. But when Housewives reached some of its popularity, Bravo got a green light to do like a bunch of new shows. And I feel as though maybe they did too many too soon, but a lot of them were really, really good. They just all came out around the same time and didn't get the ratings they needed. And I still will argue that many of them were ahead of their time. People talk about New York City Prep a lot because it was like a reality show similar to like the Gossip Girl type of, high school. I have always said I will die on this hill. That Gallery Girls was like the hidden gem. Everyone needs to go back and watch it. Like, it was so ahead of its time. It needs to come back. Andy has even said that of all of those shows, he actually was surprised that Gallery Girls wasn't like the hit. And it was just about people entry level breaking into the art world. And it's like, it's messy, it's dramatic. I mean, think about it. You have artists. So you've got egos, you've got like, they're dramatic, they're emotional, they're very like in tuned with like their feelings and the creative side, but they can be a little bit more what's the impulsive with how they
Yeah.
respond to things. I mean, it's like, this is the perfect storm for a reality show. And you had a note about this too, and it just made my heart so happy.
Oh, well, I basically said, so Raquel, I will say, as her debut as a housewife, I do feel like she's given us a lot. So she opened up a little bit about her ex. One thing I do want to clarify for you guys, because I had to go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, because Raquel, yes, was married to a man, but the relationship she was discussing was with a woman that she was with for a decade.
In the art world. Yeah.
In the art world. So that part, like, just the way she talks about like her ex and relating to Jenna, I'm like, wait, this is not saying it's not relevant, but it's not like you divorced a man like a year
I got confused
ago.
with it too, because the way it read, like it maybe too was the editing. Like I don't want to blame editing, but I'm sure you are cutting pieces of the conversation. But it sounded as almost as she was saying her ex-husband and
Yes.
her had this art business.
Yes.
And that in 2000 that they like had already broken up, but she like they were keeping it quiet because in the art world, you know, they were better together.
Yes.
And then when she was seen out with Mel, everybody was really upset and mad about it. And the way that read to me was kind of slightly homophobic. Like people were mad she was maybe with a woman
Yes.
and now, and either way, it was like, you know, and so I feel like, yes, it was when she talked about her ex in the art world, it was a woman she was with.
Yes.
10 years.
She was with her for 10 years, but as she was talking about it and all the messiness of it all, like she's like, you know, the misinformation, this is actually what happened. You know, they basically stayed together longer because they were able to sell more artwork packaged together like a couple, which we see in Hollywood. Like this isn't, you know, this happens all the time. But all of that reminded me of the need to bring back Gallery Girls, because I'm like, there's drama, there's so much there. I think also like thinking Love is Blind, Leo, who couldn't stop talking about being an art dealer, and like now you have Raquel. I'm like, I've seen like, you know, Emily, I've seen like Netflix movies on this. Like I'm just like, bring back
what was
an art show.
the Anne Hathaway, you know,
Oh, The Idea of You.
The Idea of You. She was, you know, an art, she was a gallery owner, I think.
Mhm.
The other thing too that about the art world is these galleries, like this artwork, it's not like I think we've gotten to an age where maybe we have a few nice pieces of art, but like for those from St. Louis, you'll know what I've walked into like Carroll House, which is a very nice, you know, mid-range interior decor place. But like, I'm like, oh, I really like that set of 3 paintings. I'm going to put that in my house. Like people that are uber wealthy are going to these galleries and they're dropping like so much money on like one piece. And then they're having something commissioned to like match it and like go in their house.
Yeah.
So the other part of it, of Gallery Girls, that was really interesting was these uber wealthy clients that were part of the show too. And I think that's the one thing about the art world that's so interesting is like, you've got the artists themselves, and there's always that like starving artist, you know, it's hard to break in. So you're going to have people that like early Vanderpump Rules, you know, in their shitty apartments. But then you're going to have the people that have like made it, or the gallery owners that are getting commissions off of this. You have the uber wealthy like clients coming in. It's such a perfect storm. It's almost like, not quite $1 million listing, but it's like almost like,
Yeah,
think of it
I
like
get
a
what you're
real
saying.
estate.
It's in a different way.
You've got all the different ranges, and I don't know. I really loved Gallery Girls. I've still justice for Gallery Girls is basically what I'm trying to say. Bring it back. Okay, we didn't get Jenna Lyons to host Project Runway, which big miss by Bravo. And I know you're going to ask Andy that in Miami. I'm still going to ask Andy about the international franchises because it still pisses me off. But Bravo, if you're listening, it was a miss not doing Jenna Lyons for Project Runway on Peacock. Do not make the same mistake twice. Let's have Raquel somehow introduce us into a Gallery Girls-esque reality show. And I want it to be like Vanderpump and Beverly Hills, where we're watching RHONY and then we see her in a gallery. And then all of a sudden it's like these people are introduced to us and the new show starts. Like, oh, I goosebumps thinking about it.
I mean, I have a confession. I don't
say it. Don't say it.
I don't think I watch Gallery Girls. But you know what? It's easy. It was a 1-season show. I do remember NYC Prep. So I will do in order to manifest this dream, I will go and watch it. I will go.
I think it's all of
for the vault. I will go and watch it. I think it's on there.
It is. I think it's all of 10 episodes, and I'm pretty sure they were 30 minutes. So it's not, you're not making a big, it's not like I'm telling you go back to season 1 of Vanderpump to catch up for season 10. This would be a really easy, and an easy little, rewatch, or for you first watch. But oh God, I loved Gallery Girls. I feel like we've really gone off on a tangent, and that's
yes,
okay.
let's pivot back. Let's talk about Bryn and now her being like a startup. Like this was like such a strong pivot. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, wait, Bryn's like, oh yeah, I'm a co-founder, creator of Riz, a dating app, and which makes sense for her. I just wish we would have gotten more more I wanted more of a soft launch, not quite the hard launch that we got.
Well, and it came out of nowhere. Like honestly, too, what a miss. You picked up on this. Jesse Solomon was at the Riz like premiere event with like over the like that,
the Hamptons,
in the Hamptons. We saw the pictures of them together and we were like, oh my God, this is so great. Like they're both so flirty. I feel like maybe like showing a picture of that, or like I would have liked a little bit more, leading up to it. I also have some questions like about Riz. So is it just another dating app? Like what makes it different? How is it like introducing like flirting? Because she said it's gonna like help people be more flirty, which I'm guessing is like, if it was smart, it would be like helping with some of the responses. You and I never had a date on the apps, and I'm very thankful for that. I can't imagine like trying to be cute and flirty as like when someone's like, hey, how are you? Like.
No, same. I'm like looking it up right now. And don't be upset if you're like, wait, what does Riz mean? It is a Gen Z term, charisma. Actually, it's one of the terms I'm like, that makes sense. So if you've got Riz, you've got like good banter, you've got charisma, you're just really good. You got a little swag to you.
Think of like Adam Brody and Nobody Wants This. He had Riz. Like he was just pure Riz.
Okay, so apparently I'm clicking on this. I'm about to give you more of an explanation than she did in her not usual. We're basically like, Bryn, use your platform. And if you're gonna say you're doing this, like use it well. Okay. Because we don't know what this is and how's the difference. It is it's AI. Number one AI dating assistant. Upload a screenshot of a dating chat or bio, get witty lines and replies instantly. I would feel catfish. Okay, now I was like giving her props, but could you imagine like you are like chatting with someone and thinking they're so funny, and then you meet them in real life and you're like, wait, what?
Also, as someone, this is gonna sound very like conceited of me, as somebody who has been told numerous times that I am a funny, witty person. That takes effort and thought, and it is not easy to, have that characteristic. Also, sometimes it gets me in a lot of trouble because I am quick-witted and I don't think about things, and they can come across as, maybe a little bit of an insult when I meant it as a joke. So like, I don't think it's really fair that some of these people that aren't that are going to have like a leg up. Also, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm old school, but I'm like, if you're an introverted, more reserved person, you're not going to want like someone is wanting a guy with a lot of Riz, and like that's not you. Long term, this isn't going to be like a good thing. You're going to start attracting the wrong people.
I'm reading all the like the ratings of the app, and basically you nailed it. It's people who like have a hard time, who normally wouldn't land that girl, but this app has helped them land X person.
You know what I would love more? If it was called Riz and it was like more of like a Love is Blind app where it didn't show you their picture, but just like gave you like characteristics of them and like helped you like, because I think part of Riz is like not necessarily your physical appearance, but more like what you bring to the table and like your confidence, how you carry yourself, the things you say, being like funny, being nice, being charming. And I don't think those are like physical attributes. So I don't know, I feel like let's encourage people who have Riz who maybe don't like get overlooked because I don't know, you're a guy under 5'8", or, and like, and it helps maybe like people kind of break through some barriers that I would support. But yeah, I don't like this catfish.
No, this is catfishing to me. Sorry, Bryn. This is nope.
Also, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Don't like it. One thing I do like, we talked about a lot of things we don't like in this episode. Mel to me is a star. I just really love Mel. I find her really entertaining, engaging. She's just really funny to me. She comes across very authentic. I died when she was talking about Abe and how Abe the babe and how he was helping them figure out a place for their engagement party. And she was just like, oh my gosh, like, you missed your calling as a lesbian event planner. And I'm just like, you love you, Mel. If anything, we got Mel out of this.
Mel to me, I love because she's so dry and like more like even keeled. Like as she's speaking, you know, her like we were talking about Stacey on our previous podcast where she was like, oh my God, you know, like so animated. You're like, girl, like the reaction isn't matching the situation. And Mel is kind of the opposite of that in a very refreshing way that she's always Riz. There you go. She's just very like calm, cool, collected on everything. Even as she was talking about, she's like, you know, Raquel's like, Abe the babe, how was he? And she's like, Abe was being a babe. You know, it was just like so like, I don't know.
She's got the Riz, man. That's what I'm saying. She's got the Riz.
Also,
like, brought the girl snacks. Like she knows what she's doing.
And like her order, I was like, yes. Like I want a person who's not gonna be like, what do you want? And I say, I don't know, maybe a muffin, and that's all they get. They're like, we'll do the muffin. We'll do the wasabi peas. We'll do like who doesn't love a sampling of things to pick from?
Someone to take charge so you don't have to think.
I also love that scene though of Abe and Mel talking. And I was like, okay, we like give the Jersey men a lot of shit. So I don't want to encourage like too much of like the, you know, the partners being, you know, a focal point. But the dynamic of Abe and Mel is really kind of fun as like this little duo of like, I could just like, I want to see more of them and their friendship. And like, when the women are going crazy, they're like sitting there and like, she's like, okay, help me plan my next lesbian event. And like, this becomes like their little, like, they're like a little duo. I would really love that. And I think it also helped Jenna and Aaron, you know, as
honestly, they should just lean into it and he should plan the engagement party just because, you know, we know Bravo gives them budgets for certain parties. Yeah. No one has this many parties in their lifetime, but let's discuss Aaron's Mezcal event. On one hand, I died. Pavit did make me laugh by the fact that he like DoorDash or Uber Eat food because you always want to make sure there's some food. That
I respect that though. How many times have you and I, like honestly, at the Us Weekly party? Yes. So Vanessa and I are very guilty of this. And some of this is like the Midwest in us, you know, it's like, well, if no one else is eating, I don't want to be the only one. So we have like, you know, thanks to you guys and your support, which like cannot thank you guys enough. We've gotten to go to some of these premiere events and it feels like no one eats at these things. And they start at like 6:30 or 7, which is like prime dinner eating time. So Vanessa and I, like sometimes, like I think we were slightly smarter for Us Weekly, where we made ourselves go get like a heavy, like, well, we had chips and guac, but we made ourselves eat something at like
a taco.
3. In a taco. We each had a taco around like 3:34. But we didn't eat dinner that night. And then we were drinking. Like, this is the thing. It's like these events, yes, there's food and you see, but it's like the crudo and it's like a little nibble of something. And it's not enough to like sustain drinking mezcal all night. So I'm like, let's normalize bringing a burrito or eating something a little bit heavier because you know what? We're all older. We can't be drinking on these empty stomachs. I mean, I told you guys a story. I made my Uber driver take me through McDonald's and I fucking Happy Meal because I'm like, I'm in LA. I can't eat too much.
No, you were brilliant for that because I had a Philly cheesesteak at like 7 a.m. the next day and I was so insanely
and you landed still drunk. That's my favorite part. You're like, I'm now back in Kansas City and I'm
No, I definitely was. I have not felt that in a minute, but it was well worth it. But the event itself, so, you know, it was at a place where it seemed like a restaurant. It seemed like there were some snacks for the women because I was not complaining.
Like they showed little clips of it, but like not heavy food. Yeah.
Yes. So a couple of things that was like interesting to me. Okay. So Bryn arrives. She is like talking to Aaron's dad, which made me sad knowing that Abba has since passed. But she's, you know, being Bryn, flirting with the dad, definitely snubs the table, which I guess I get it. Like, I think if they were standing, you'd feel more willing to like stand and have a
like you have to go to a table where everyone's
like going into a table, a booth. I do kind of get that a little bit, but I think she could have lingered a bit longer than she did.
I get that, but also then don't be like, I don't get why all these people hate me. I'm so left out. I feel so isolated. Like, I understand that. And I think that'd be a really tough feeling within a group when you feel like you're the one that everyone doesn't like. However, isolating yourself isn't helping the situation. And like, I get, she's like, I'm just going to lean into like being the flirty Bryn and, you know, make me mad and I'll date your dad. But I don't know. I was like, at some point, why don't you like talk to the women? Like, I give Jenna Lyons a lot of credit. Like her and Aaron are still kind of like figuring out because, you know, Aaron is upset with her and Jenna walked up and like, Aaron kind of gave her like, I would say like the equivalent of like a fish handshake hug. It was like, you know, very like a half hug. And Jenna's like, no, you're going to give me a real hug. Like, come on. And then so like Aaron's like, okay. And like, all of the women are not necessarily in a spot where like everyone is best friends. It does feel like Bryn is having the hardest time, but like Jenna and Aaron aren't great.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like, all of them sat down together and it seemed like they were willing to just like enjoy being silly and being fun with one another. And it felt like Bryn was missing that. And it's
I even seem to be like have moved on from that, like where she would like welcomed her sitting down. Jessel, to me, another MVP of this episode, and she is a star. So she sits next to Aaron and is like, ew, are you wearing that deodorant again? What's that smell? And just
it's like seconds of like, not like, thanks for inviting me. The event looks great. Congratulations. It's like, oh, is that smell you? And then the onions and the guacamole.
The onions and the guacamole, which made me die. But she brings up a good point. If you wear a natural, some of those natural deodorants aren't as strong. And I was like, you know what? At least she's saying this to your face. It's funny. I mean, you don't want to smell. I guess if you do kind of smell, you'd want someone to tell you more than
100%.
Talk behind your back.
That's why I get like the aluminum, and deodorant isn't good for you, but like the process of trying to switch to natural deodorant, first of all, people do stink for a couple weeks. And I don't think I agree. I don't think it works as well. And in an event, in a situation like that, where you might be a little bit stressed, nervous, excitement, you're going to sweat a little bit more. And I give her credit for calling it out, but maybe not like seconds of sitting down.
I kind of loved it. I thought I was like, yes, Jessel, never change. I do have Dove's aluminum free deodorant is actually pretty good. That's what I
Mitchum till the day I die. Like, honestly, bury me with Mitchum.
No, I know you were like, you basically, I feel like have sold so many. You're gonna link it up.
So shocked, like
unofficially sponsored by Mitchum.
Unofficially, not like literally, like Mitchum. I probably drive so much volume for them through Amazon. Like, there's moments where it is out, and I'm like, I don't see anybody else posting about Mitchum. So like, I do take credit for that.
Yes,
and I didn't even send me a free stick.
Yes, Mitchum, send her something.
They're probably working overtime. She talks about it all the time for free. Why would we give her anything? But yeah,
well, that's
exactly. I do want to say something though about Aaron's dad, because I get that would be really hard for her. And right now, I'm sure it isn't. This probably isn't the way she's looking at it, because he did pass very recently, in like the last month or two. I mean, because it was sadly right around when it premiered, he passed. But I do think how cool for her though, that she will have that footage in memory, because he was like so excited and proud to be at her event. And then I think for her having her mom there too, knowing that her mom and dad are not together, but they were both there. And I think that's like kind of a cool memory for her. So I hope that like with time, maybe that scene can be like more of like a nostalgic memory of her dad versus like a painful reminder of him not being there.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about Ubah. Girl. It is not basic bitch to drink water out of a cup when it is a shared water vessel at a table. She took like the whole carafe and just starts like, what was the point of that? Is she slightly drunk?
I don't think she was. I do think Ubah has her Ubah-isms, and she said basic bitch, but like her, I don't understand the whole thing. Like with the whole Bryn, I'm like, honey, please just let it go. I don't know why you snapped at Jessel. I didn't think that was warranted. I think Jessel was in her right to be like, basic bitch. Please don't call me that. Yeah. I'm just calling out the fact you're drinking out of a carafe. Like, she's like, what bizarre. Are you doing?
They were all, she's like, there's a cup right there. They were all using that water. Also, to me, like, it didn't come across like, I don't think it's basic bitch to be like, oh, I'm going to pour the shared water carafe. Like, I'm going to pour that into my own cup. Like, I think it's kind of selfish to drink out of that massive carafe, because now no one's going to drink from it. Like,
no, she doesn't drink. I forgot that Ubah doesn't drink.
She doesn't. Like, wondering, was she like secretly like, did she take a shot and it hit her really? Like,
no, I don't know, but it just, that part was like bizarre, and I just don't think I can handle the entire season being Ubah versus Bryn. We already got that snip. It's going to be that, because we got that snippet from Jessel saying the cast trip had to end early because someone had to go back to the room.
And the season started with them in a fight doing the photo shoot. So it's like, we already know where this like ends, and it's like, ugh.
But to me, this is all giving stuff that happened behind the scenes. I want to give Ubah some credit, because I do really like her. But I'm like, I feel like as a viewer, we're missing like overarching context. Like, we need the receipts proof timeline of why you have so much visceral anger towards Bryn,
Mm-hmm.
aside from like, because Sai seems to have moved on, or at least be like chill in front of her face and like, I'm good, like hanging out with her. Let's just have fun. Go back to surface level, as she said.
Like she's like, yep, and back to the surface we go.
Which is fine, but I just feel like we're missing something, right? Like I just don't understand how an entire season can be based on these two hating each other, and us as viewers being like, it's not that deep. I don't think it's that deep.
It all started because of Bryn and Sai. Yeah, it's like this is their big argument. I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I also we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Bryn, and the Smith sisters did an amazing job. If you guys don't listen to the Smith sisters, also like, not sponsored, but we just really enjoy them. I love the way they recap all of the Bravo shows, but they talked about how Bryn being like passing white and her angry Black woman comment. And then also like being like, I want Oliver to love you. I don't want him to see this angry side of you, which then again is almost saying like a white man can't love, a Black woman with emotion. And they did a good job talking about it. Bryn has since released a statement. So I did want to bring that up since we had talked about it 2 weeks ago, because we were disappointed she hadn't. I do feel like it was a little too little too late. It also was like the spin was more blaming production and saying there were parts not shown, and that last season they had a really deep heart to heart about the whole stereotype. I don't know. It was a little bit of deflection to me. But
yeah, she just said, I sat in shock this week as off-camera interactions in the Hamptons were conveyed without context. To see my intentions twisted and my words misrepresented flat out scares me. I'm deeply sorry if I overstepped that night in the Hamptons. I'm beyond sorry, as this was never my intention. She goes on, and then she said the last thing she says, I hope the powerful fourth wall moment that happened in Anguilla well before the Hamptons will be shown at this year's reunion, so that the longstanding, nearly 2-year-old issue can finally be addressed openly. Constructive conversation is much needed to clear the air and provide context and closure for everyone involved. I want to know if she has talked to Ubah. Like, this is always my issue with like public apologies, because sometimes people are so quick to go to the public, and it's like, did you actually apologize to the person? Like, did you have an offline conversation?
Right. Was this the first Ubah's hearing of your apology?
Yes, I don't know. But regardless, I can't handle this entire season being this.
I agree. I want more. I need more. I think the future of RHONY needs more. And there's so many like
RHONY.
I know, but the other thing that makes me so mad and frustrating is like, this is an amazing cast of women. Like you said, like Raquel has had like such a strong first season as a housewife. I think she's so interesting, and like I would love to know more about her. Jenna is sharing more about her engagement, and like, yes, they actually are engaged, and sure, her partner doesn't want to be on there, but she's talking about it a little bit more. We're dipping our toes into actually like being a true reality person and sharing more of your life. Jessel could not be more entertaining right now. Erin's a mess, but I love it. Like, she does give me Dorit vibes, but we need Dorit. Yeah, she's going through a lot. I think the thing with Erin, I think she shares everything. So yes, maybe she there's more than the Bitcoin, but I think, she shares that part of it, at least. I shouldn't say she shares everything, but she does a decent job. Who else am I forgetting? I mean, Ubah and Bryn is where we're really strong. Sai, I think Sai is giving me a lot more. I'm loving Sai leaning into friendships with like other women and not necessarily being so like cliquey, groupy. Like, yes, she's close with Erin. She's also close with Jenna, but then like her and Raquel and Ubah having a conversation, like the three of them, I think, could be a really like powerful trio. I like how I think she's leaning into like, I don't want to just be this like, I don't like her tongue was kind of harsh, her previous season, and maybe unnecessarily a few times. Like, I'm loving Sai. I think she's really been, listening to the comments.
Took good notes.
Took good notes and like, great job. Bravo. It's like, so this is what's frustrating me is like on paper, we have a great setup.
Except Rebecca Minkoff.
Why is she? I forgot she was even there. She popped in and popped out.
I'm going to say that budget, whatever we paid her, I want my money back. I want Luann in there. I just throw back Luann. If we're going to bring back an OG RHONY housewife, I want it to be Luann.
I'll just throw this out.
What?
I'm going to throw this out because this was a little bit of a point of contention for Rebecca Minkoff. Let's throw Tory Burch in there. See how that plays.
Yes. But I'm just like, what's the point of Rebecca Minkoff on this show? Like, that was such a selling point, I feel like, leading in from a marketing standpoint into this season. Like, in Rebecca Minkoff, like, we are the fashion show. We are representing New York. We have art. We have fashion. We have Nordstrom
Influencers.
we have, Riz. Like, we got all this stuff. And now I'm like, girl, why is she even on here? Like, I want the Countess to be back. She is, I'm loving all her social media content with the cigarettes, everything.
The cigarette killed me. Like she's honestly thriving.
Yes. And I mean, she probably doesn't necessarily need it, but I would love to see her out of the old school RHONY housewives. I would pick her to join this cast. I think her and Bryn have a friendship. We've seen them together. Like, it would make more sense to me. So I'm going to start that campaign because
I love it.
She deserves it. She's working.
I agree. Like, I do feel like, how I feel about Rebecca Minkoff is how I call it season 1 of New RHONY. I'm not calling it, what was it, season 19, season 20. When they initially told us Jenna Lyons was a housewife, it felt like, oh, wow. Like, creative director of J. Crew. We're getting this like fashion genius. Like, she's like, like, this is a name. I remembered her from Girl. Like, everyone's like really excited. Like, this was like a cool name that they had brought in. And I felt like last season, Jenna gave us she's giving us more than Rebecca Minkoff, but it wasn't like what we were hoping. It fell a little short. I mean, Rebecca Minkoff is falling so short. I agree with you. Whatever Bravo paid her, she should be paying them, because her name has not been mentioned on it has not been aired so much. I do, though, want to say for Brent, I get she's a Nordstrom Rack. Let's find a new shtick. Like, the Nordstrom Rack thing's got to go. I get, you've said it enough. We get it. But I don't know. I think all in all, we're just, we're getting through it, and we'll make it through. But you guys help us make it through at the end of the year with 1,500 reviews. I know we're sounding like a broken record, but hit 5 stars, subscribe if you haven't done so, leave us a written review. It helps our show so much. I know we always say this, but we've got some exciting things in the works, some shows we want to collaborate with that we think would be really fun for you guys. So thank you so much for all your support and for listening, and make it a great day or don't. The choice is yours.